Hey everyone, guess what we're doing today? We are going to make carrots for our Easter cake. And this Easter cake, I was texting with one of my subscribers, Missy, such a doll, and we talked and she was telling me about making a carrot cake, and I thought, oh my gosh, what an adorable idea. Well, she sent me the, I can't remember what you call it, but it looks like crushed like walnuts or whatever, but it's the corn feed or something. I can't remember. Well, anyway, I'm going to make a carrot cake, a faux carrot cake for Easter. And on it, and like in the bakery, when I worked at the grocery store, they would make those, well, they still do, and they put carrots on top. Saved one of the Danish cookies from the Dollar Tree, the tins, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this for my reference on how big to make these carrots. So I'm just shaping them into a carrot, okay? And then I'll put some score lines into it, but I want to make a little hole in here so I can put the green stem. And the green stem, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow from Peter to pay Paul, if you will. And how I'm going to do that is with some of this from the Hobby Lobby from a couple years ago. I'm just going to take a few little sprigs. It's got enough here, you're never going to miss it. And I'm going to cut some of this, okay? And then just fold it over. And then just tear these to where I can make it thinner. So anyway, I'm going to, and I'll probably cut that in half and use it for 2, because I'll make like probably 5 or 6 carrots to go on top. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to get these the way I want them, and then I'll come back and I'll score them and put the hole into them. Okay, so I have all of them shaped basically the way I'm going to shape them. Now I'm going to take a toothpick and I'm just going to poke a little bit of a hole, just like that, in the top. So when I get ready to put this in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it, and then I'm just going to twist the end and then just stick it in here, okay? Then what I'm going to do with the toothpick, I'm going to come in and I'm going to make some creases, okay? And they don't have to be uniform. You see that? So that's what I'm going to do with each of these, and I put them up here just so I could kind of get a reference on where and how big I wanted these. Because you got to keep in mind you're going to have your greens and you don't want them sticking, you know, all the way off the cake, okay? So keep that in mind when you're making the size of your carrots. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to keep putting creases randomly on my clay. And by the way, the clay I'm using, again, is the Crayola air dry clay in white. You can get that anywhere. Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's. So I'm going to continue to do this, and when it's dry, we'll paint them. Okay guys, I just wanted to show you, this is what it looks like so far, and as you can see I did the little indentations on the carrots, and I put the little sprigs of green that came from my one carrot, and as you can see it didn't make a hill of beans of a difference. So now I'm going to wait for them to dry. Make sure and do the holes here and your indentations if you want them while this is still pliable, okay? Now we're gonna let them dry and then we're gonna paint them. Hey everybody, how are you? Well, we're getting ready now to paint the carrots. They're dry. All right, I just want to shake this up a little. Okay, so I'm just going to paint these and then I'll antique them. As you can see, I have all my stuff out, getting ready for making, I have all my stuff out, ready to make our carrot cake. But I want to get these carrots done because once the spackle goes on, you need to get whatever you're going to embellish your cake with ready, because you want it to adhere. Well, you don't have to. I mean, if you want to just go ahead and lay it on top, that's fine, but I want these to adhere to the cake. I'll let that dry and then I'll come back and do the tip of it. And with the antiquing is going to show the little creases that I made with our toothpick. So I'm going to continue to paint these, and when they're dry I'll come back and we'll antique one together. Okay, I just came in and I took a darker color just to shade these a little bit because it adds dimension and it makes it look more realistic. Okay, we're getting ready to get our lightweight spackle into our container. Remember, keep any of these containers with the lid that keeps it tight. I've had this spackle for over a week and a half and it's still good because I have it in a container that's airtight. Alright, so let's get going on this. I want to add my color. Since I'm making the carrot cake, it's going to be white frosting. And I'm not sure, I think I'm going to put quite a bit because I think I'll be doing a couple of cupcakes as well. That'll be in another video. See, it goes fast. It really does. Put the lid on it. You do not want it to dry out. All right. So let's get our acrylic paint. This is a little bit of an off-white, but not enough to where I wouldn't want to use it. And that's because I only have a little bit of white, which wouldn't make much of a difference. So I'm using something that I do have enough of. Now, when you put this into this spackle, remember, it's going to thin it out. So be a little careful about that. I'm going to go mix this up. You don't need to see it. And then I'm going to put it in my bag and I'll be back. Okay, what I'm going to do, I have everything mixed up, okay? And I have my tin ready, and yours might be a cardboard box, it might be styrofoam, whatever. I'm using a tin from Christmas. Here are my little corn, I think these are corn cob all ground up, I think. I'm not sure. But anyway, Missy, one of my subscribers, she's so sweet, she sent me a real big bag of these, which is going to be wonderful in my faux foods because it represents little walnut pieces or whatever kind of nut pieces. But I put them in here because if they get down, they get really messy. So once I have this frosted, I'm just going to dip it into here and hopefully it won't get as crazy. But let's go ahead. I'm going to use one of my little palette knives from the Dollar Tree. And I buy these periodically for this very craft. Okay. Now you're going to want to work quick because this only sticks for just a few minutes because it does start to dry fast. So you're just going to frost it just like you would any cake. okay? And it has the consistency of frosting. Now normally when I do this, I'm a little bit wary of the lip to hide it, but since I'm putting these little pieces on there, I'm not so worried about it because it'll cover it. And you notice I didn't do the top yet because what would happen? My hands would go all over it. So that'll be the last part that I do. Okay? And you don't need a lot, just enough to adhere to make sure that the little pieces of that corn cob stick on here. That's what you're concerned with, not putting a whole bunch because you're not going to see it really. Because I want to keep the majority of this frosting for piping. Okay. Okay, so you can see I have the sides decorated for the cake. Okay, now I'm going to come in, I'm going to finish antiquing these carrots, and then I'll just hit certain spots. I'll probably have to use a little bit of glue or something because the spackle's already starting to dry, but that's not a big deal. And then I'll focus on the top part, okay? So I'll just take a little bit of this water-based wax from Waverly, and that's what I'm going to antique the carrots with. And I'm just going to take a paper towel because I'm not going to antique them a lot. Very little. And then just wipe it off. I just want to get in the crevices of the little indentations that I made. And you don't have to do this if you want them just a real vibrant orange, go for it. Do you see the difference? You're able to see what I've done with the toothpick. So I'm going to continue that, and then I'll come back and we'll do the top, and then we'll be done. Okay. So now let's just do the top, and again I'm not using a lot of this lightweight spackle. Just enough to cover the tin because I'll be piping the edges and where the carrots are going to go. Just like a cake. People have texted me and, you know, they say that they're intimidated to do it. And I always tell them, just look at it as though you're frosting a cake. Because really, that is all it is. You're just using different mediums to do it. You're not using sugar and butter and, you know, that kind of thing. But it's just exactly the same thing. So I'm going to go and I'm just going to cover this, and then I'll come back before I start piping. Okay, so I got the top done. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pipe around the way we want to do it. Now, for those that have just joined and subscribed to my channel and don't know about faux foods, okay, you've seen this so far. Now I'm going to show you when you're piping something, and I use the biggest tip when I'm doing cakes like this, and I think it's a 1M, and it's a Wilton. This is the Open Star, and this is my favorite. You'll find your own favorite. Right now I'm taking, got to make sure none of those little nuts are in there. And you're going to come in, and you're just going to fill your piping bag. And if you have leftover spackle in this piping bag, just tie it up and put it in a Ziploc and it'll stay moist. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to get this pulled up and we'll start going. So I have my spackle in my piping bag, twisting it up, and I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to, and I got to keep this up because it's kind of soft. This makes me want to make a carrot cake. I love carrot cake. But I don't think I have everything to make it. No, I know. I don't, guys. I don't have the carrots. Dang it. Okay, so there's that part of it. Now, I'm going to want to put my carrots in here, and we need to decide, since I have 6 of them, I may be able to do, well, that's okay. I don't care. It's fine. I can use that carrot somewhere else. Maybe in the middle. All right, now what I'm deciding is if I want to put a little bit of green in here as well. Tip or grass tip. I kind of want these to stand up, so I don't know if I should put them in after the spackle is dried a little bit. I just like that little hint of green underneath. It gives it a little bit more color. Yeah, I think I am going to let this harden just a little bit. And it doesn't take long, believe me. I have the carrots in, and I kind of put a little bit of frosting behind it so it acted like a pillow, if you will, so they would be up a little bit. So now I'm just going to do the bottom, okay? Make sure you have wax paper or parchment paper underneath your cake if you're going to do the bottom, because if not, it's going to stick and maybe come off. Now, if a little bit of it does come off, glue it back on. Just make sure it's really dry before you take it off. And that one bowl is just going to be enough for this cake. So that's what I'm saying, and you saw how much it took of that spackle, so it takes quite a bit if you're going to do, now this is a big tin, so this is a big cake, all right, which I will keep this cake up through the summer because there's nothing other than the carrots. I mean, you can get carrot cake any time of the year. So I will keep this up with my other faux desserts because I love to decorate with faux desserts in my on my hutch, in my dining room table, in my kitchen, tiered tray, whatever. I put the spackle in the middle. As you can see, I'm going to put this carrot, but I'm waiting for it to harden up a little bit so the carrot doesn't fall over. sure it's even. Okay. Let's see if this is dry enough or hardened enough. Just don't think it is. I'll be back when it is. Okay, so there you go. There is your carrot cake for your Easter table, your faux food, the middle carrot. Guys, I hope you'll try this. You can get a cardboard box. You could do a square cake. You don't have to do round. You can do a shoe box, cut a shoe box, and then just masking tape the side of it to make it more of a square instead of a rectangle. You can use anything. Just look around the house. I guarantee you, you'll find something to be the base for your faux cake. Until we get together again, remember the world's a better place because you're in it. Don't ever, ever forget that. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye.